introduce yourself and your background in martial arts.
My name's Hardy Merritt. I own and operate Chapel Hill Quest Martial Arts in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I got interested in martial arts as a really young kid, maybe about 5 years old, and I saw G.I. Joe. And there was a character called Snake Eyes, and immediately I wanted to be a ninja. I bought every martial arts book I could find as a kid. Had never heard of jiu-jitsu until the first UFC happened, but it just as it happened, a friend of mine, his dad got the UFC on pay-per-view, and when I was a young kid, I was able to actually watch it, and I saw Royce Gracie and recognized jiu-jitsu as a thing, and that stayed with me throughout my journey. But I got into Toshindo, which is a modern adaptation of the ninja martial art, and I was fortunate to have that as a background to start because it's a very broad martial art, and there was a lot of grappling techniques and a lot of, for martial arts that were not jiu-jitsu, there was a lot of ground-based stuff. So I had a little bit of an introduction. A jiu-jitsu school moved a couple of doors down from our dojo, and I wanted to check it out. And I'd had a couple of introductory classes at some jiu-jitsu places, so I had a little bit of a sense of what was going on. But my real motivation with beginning a jiu-jitsu practice was to test out what I had already learned. My initial impressions of jiu-jitsu were not always positive. I was shown the Gracie in action videos very early, and I had associated martial arts with humility and composure, and what I saw was fighting. So I'm going out and throwing each other down on the ground, and it was very eye-opening that these real fights looked a lot different than what I spent most of my time practicing. So I went over to I started jiu-jitsu to see how I would fare against jiu-jitsu, and I kept going, and I sort of realized instead of trying to beat jiu-jitsu, I should probably learn jiu-jitsu. And that was the beginning of my journey into Brazilian jiu-jitsu. So early in jiu-jitsu, I competed in jiu-jitsu tournaments fairly regularly. The group that I trained with, we went to a lot of tournaments. So I competed all the way up through purple belt. I have not done any competitions as a brown belt or higher. But I have had 2 MMA fights. I wanted to see how I would fare under the pressure of someone trying to hit me and hurt me, and not just in a jiu-jitsu match. So I fought 2 times in Kansas. Back then when I fought, it wasn't legal in our state, so I had to go out of town. I had an associate, a friend in martial arts named Stephen Crawford, and he ran a school called Crawford's MMA, and I would go there and train with him occasionally, and he was part of a group that promoted fights. And so one time when I was there, he said, "Hey, if you want to fight, next week we've got one coming." So I came back and did it. And then the next fight, I had a little more preparation time, but I was very fortunate to win both of my MMA fights, and I was fortunate not to sustain a whole lot of damage while I did it. So I decided I would retire undefeated. So.
Now, let's do it.
Main thing that I've gotten out of all of my martial arts practice has been the people that I get to interact with. I've interacted with the absolute best of the best people. And jiu-jitsu has a really cool way of showing you the real person. When someone's really pressured and they can't escape a situation, you see their soul when they're doing that. And so it's just been such a great clear lens to view the character of the people, and I've been so lucky to be around people of the best character.
お願いします。
The black belt in jiu-jitsu, there's certainly an air of accomplishment, but you know, I say this to our other students that once you get a black belt, it's not like you're a black belt. You've got to be a black belt every day, and so I'm honestly quite excited about the additional push and motivation I'm expecting to feel once that's on, to make sure that I live up to the expectation of a black belt.
It's been a long time coming. Please turn around. It's a pleasure to introduce Hardy Merritt as a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.